child says someone's whispering in their closet. You check. But what if the whispers don't stop when the lights come back on? The whispering closet. Mommy, who's talking in my closet? Catherine jolted awake, her heart pounding. Her daughter, Lily, stood at the foot of the bed, her small frame trembling in the dim glow of the nightlight. In your closet, Catherine mumbled, rubbing her eyes. She strained her ears but heard nothing except the hum of the air conditioner. Lily nodded vigorously. They're whispering again. Catherine sighed, glancing at the clock. 2:47 a.m. Too late for ghost stories. Too early for rational explanations. She took Lily's hand and led her back to her room. With a flick of the switch, the closet was bathed in warm yellow light. It was just as they had left it, rows of tiny dresses, a few scattered toys, and a pile of stuffed animals. Catherine knelt and ruffled through them. Nothing unusual. See? No one's here, sweetie. Lily hesitated, her eyes darting toward the closet's back wall. But they talk when the lights are off. Catherine forced a smile. Closets can be creaky at night, especially in old houses like this. But there's nothing to be afraid of. She kissed Lily's forehead and shut the closet. Doctor, try to sleep, okay? As she walked back to her own room, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had been off. The air in Lily's closet had felt thick, like the room was holding its breath. And then, just as she was drifting back to sleep, she heard it. A whisper, faint, muffled, coming from the direction of Lily's room. She sat up, every nerve in, her body on high alert. It was probably just the wind, or an overactive imagination. But something deep inside her knew the truth. The whispers were real. Morning light streamed through the windows as Catherine brewed a strong cup of coffee. She had barely slept, her mind haunted by the sound she had heard. She told herself it was just her imagination. But as she looked at Lily, who sat quietly at the breakfast table pushing cereal around in her bowl, doubt crept back in. You okay, sweetheart? Catherine asked. Lily nodded slowly. The whispering stopped when the sun came up. Catherine forced a smile. See? Just nighttime noises. Nothing to worry about. Lily didn't seem convinced. After dropping her off at school, Catherine returned home with a lingering sense of unease. She walked into Lily's room and stood before the closet. In the daylight, it looked completely normal. Just a simple wooden closet with white doors. But when she placed her hand against it, she hesitated. Something felt off. Catherine pulled the door open. The scent of old wood and fabric filled her nostrils. She pushed aside Lily's clothes, searching the back wall. With her fingers, her fingertips brushed against something rough. She stepped back. A small, yellowed piece of paper was wedged into a crack in the wood. With trembling fingers, she pulled it out and unfolded it. The writing was faded, but still legible. Don't open it at night. Catherine's breath caught in her throat. Who had written this? And why? Her mind raced with questions. Had the previous owners left it there? Was it some kind of prank, or was it a warning? She looked back at the closet. Suddenly, it didn't feel like just a piece of furniture anymore. It felt like something more. Something watching. That night, she put Lily to bed early and sat in the hallway outside her room, determined to get answers. The house was silent. The minutes ticked by. Midnight came and went, and then, at 2:47 a.m., Just like the night before, it began. The whispers, soft, indistinct, coming from inside the closet. Catherine's breath hitched. She rose to her feet, her pulse hammering in her ears. She reached for the door handle, then she stopped. The note's words flashed in her mind. Don't open it at night. Every instinct told her to listen, to leave it alone, but she had to know. Slowly, she turned the handle and pulled the closet door open. The whispering stopped instantly. The closet was dark, still, silent. Catherine let out a shaky breath. Maybe she really was imagining things. But then she noticed something. The pile of stuffed animals she had neatly arranged earlier that day. One of them had moved. A small, ragged teddy bear now lay on its side, facing the back wall of the closet. Catherine's stomach twisted. She hadn't touched it, and Lily never played with that bear anymore. She reached down and picked it up. As she did, the air in the closet suddenly felt colder. A deep, bone-chilling cold that sent shivers up her spine. Something wasn't right. Catherine quickly shut the door and backed away. She didn't know what was happening, but one thing was certain. She should have listened to the warning, because now the whispers weren't just in the closet. They were in the walls. Catherine barely slept that night. The whispering had stopped after she shut the closet door, but the uneasy feeling lingered long after. She lay awake in bed, listening to the silence, waiting for something else to happen. But nothing did. When morning came, she convinced herself that exhaustion was playing tricks on her mind. Maybe the teddy bear had fallen on its own. Maybe old houses just made strange noises at night. She had almost managed to push the whole thing from her mind, until she went to wake Lily. Her daughter sat upright in bed, staring at the closet door with wide, unblinking eyes. "Lily." Catherine's voice was gentle but urgent. Lily turned to look at her, her small hands clutching the bedsheet. They were whispering again, she said quietly, but this time they said my name. A chill ran down Catherine's spine. She forced a smile. "You probably just dreamed it, sweetheart. You were asleep, right?" Lily hesitated before shaking her head. "No, I was awake." Catherine swallowed hard. She needed to stay calm for Lily's sake. "Well, you're safe now. It's morning and everything's fine." Lily didn't respond. She simply glanced back at the closet, her expression uncertain. Catherine decided then and there she had to get to the bottom of this. Once Lily was at school, Catherine returned to her room, staring at the closet door with new determination. The note, the cold air, the whispers. There had to be a rational explanation. She grabbed a flashlight and pulled the door open. The air inside felt normal now, not as thick or heavy as the night before. She rummaged through the clothes again, pushing them aside to examine the back wall. That's when she noticed something strange. The wood at the back didn't match the rest of the closet. It looked slightly different, darker, as if it had been replaced at some point. She ran her fingers along the edges, feeling for any gaps. And then, click, the panels shifted slightly. Her breath caught in her throat. She pressed harder, and the wooden section gave way, revealing a narrow, dark space behind the closet. A hidden compartment. Catherine aimed her flashlight into the opening. A small, dust-covered space lay beyond, no bigger than a crawl space. The air inside smelled stale, like it hadn't been disturbed in years. And at the very back, something was wedged against the wall. A box. Catherine hesitated, then reached inside, pulling it out. It was old, the wood worn and splintered, with rusted metal hinges. She wiped the dust off and slowly lifted the lid. Inside, there were several yellowed pieces of paper, folded neatly. Her fingers trembled as she picked one up and unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, hurried. "If you're reading this, it's too late. Don't let them know you found this, and whatever you do, don't listen to them at night." Catherine's hands shook as she reached for the next note. "They come for the children first. They whisper their names." That's how it starts. A lump formed in her throat. This wasn't just some forgotten storage space. Someone had hidden these messages here for a reason. She flipped through more notes, each one more frantic than the last. "They don't like the light. Keep the doors locked. I thought I could make them stop. I was wrong. If you hear them, don't answer." Catherine's breath came in short gasps. This couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of joke. But deep down, she knew better. The whispering, the way Lily said they had called her name, the cold air inside the closet. Something was wrong with this house. With shaking hands, she put the notes back in the box and pushed the hidden panels shut. She didn't want Lily to see any of this. Whatever was happening, whatever had happened in the past, she needed to protect her daughter. That night, Catherine sat beside Lily's bed as she fell asleep. She kept the closet door shut, the room bathed in warm, golden lamplight. She wasn't taking any chances. As the hours passed, Catherine fought off exhaustion, her body heavy with fatigue. The notes replayed in her mind over and over again. "If you hear them, don't answer." And then, just like the nights before, it happened. A faint whisper, muffled, distant. She froze. It was coming from the closet. She squeezed her eyes shut, heart hammering. No, she wasn't imagining it. It was real. And then, just barely audible, "Catherine." Her blood ran cold. She clamped a hand over her mouth, suppressing a gasp. The whispers had never said her name before. For a long moment she sat completely still, her entire body rigid with fear. Then she reached for her phone, hands shaking. She had to record this. She had to prove she wasn't losing her mind. She opened the voice recorder and pressed record. The whispering continued, soft, unintelligible murmurs mixed with static. And then, clear as day, "Come closer." Catherine's breath hitched. She pressed stop and stared at the screen. The audio was saved, proof that she wasn't imagining things. But then, the recording erased itself right in front of her eyes. The file disappeared, leaving only an empty screen. Her phone screen flickered for a second, and in that brief moment, she saw her own reflection staring back at her. But something was wrong. In the reflection, the closet door wasn't shut. It was open, and something, was standing inside, watching her. Catherine let out a strangled gasp and dropped the phone. She turned toward the closet, heart pounding. The door was shut, just as she had left it. But she wasn't imagining things. She knew what she had seen. Something was inside that closet, and it was watching her. Catherine didn't sleep that night. Even as exhaustion pulled at her, she remained alert, staring at the closet. The image on her phone had burned itself into her mind. The open door, the dark figure inside. But the closet was shut now. Had it been a trick of the light? A glitch on her phone? She wanted to believe that. Needed to. But the whispers had said her name. And she could no longer deny that something was very, very wrong. By morning, Catherine had made a decision. She couldn't stay in this house. She had moved in only a few months ago, hoping for a fresh start with Lily. But now she had to protect her daughter. As Lily ate her breakfast, Catherine pulled out her laptop and searched for any information about the house. It didn't take long for something to catch her eye. An old newspaper article. She clicked on it, her pulse quickening as she read the headline, "Family vanishes without a trace. Local authorities baffled." The article was dated nearly 20 years ago. Her breath caught as she skimmed through the details. A couple and their young son had lived in this house. One night, they disappeared. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, no explanation. The only thing left behind, the boy's bedroom. The closet door had been open. Catherine's hands trembled as she scrolled down. There was an old black and white photo of the house. And there, standing in the window of what was now Lily's room, a shadowy figure. She slammed the laptop shut, her heart racing. She needed to get out of this house. Now. That night, Catherine packed a suitcase. She didn't tell Lily why, just that they were going on a little trip. Lily didn't ask questions. She had been quieter than usual, her eyes constantly drifting toward the closet. Catherine tucked her in and kissed her forehead. "We're leaving first thing in the morning, okay? Try to sleep." Lily nodded but didn't speak. Catherine sat in the hallway, suitcase by her side, waiting for the night to pass. And then, a creak. The sound of a door opening. She snapped her head toward Lily's room. The closet door was ajar, just a few inches. Cold fear gripped her chest. Slowly, she rose to her feet. The air felt thick, heavy. She forced herself to move, inching toward the door. Then, Lily's soft voice, "But I don't want to play." Catherine's blood turned to ice. She pushed the door open and rushed inside. Lily was sitting up in bed, her heart-wide eyes locked on the closet. Catherine followed her gaze. The closet door was open wider now. Darkness stretched beyond it, deeper than it should have been. "Lily," Catherine whispered, "who are you talking to?" Lily turned to her mother, her face pale. "They want me to play with them." Catherine's stomach dropped. "Who?" Lily hesitated. "The children in the closet." Catherine grabbed her daughter and pulled her into her arms. "We're leaving. Now." She reached for her phone with shaking hands and turned on the flashlight. The bright beam cut through the darkness, landing inside the closet. Nothing was there. No clothes, no shelves. Just a dark, empty void stretching endlessly. Catherine's breath hitched. This wasn't possible. This closet wasn't this deep. Then, a hand reached out from the darkness. Small, pale, a child's hand. Catherine screamed and stumbled back, clutching Lily. The hand withdrew, and the whispering started again. Soft, overlapping voices. "Come play with us." Catherine bolted for the door. She grabbed the suitcase and ran, carrying Lily in her arms. She didn't stop, not until she was outside, standing in the cold night air. The house loomed behind them, silent, still, and then As Catherine turned toward Lily's bedroom window, she saw them, figures, standing inside the room, watching, the closet door wide open behind them, and then, one by one, they faded into the dark. Banko muon them chitiate, Diujin gichochong treko, no ban hai long, doi se tiep tuk vo chuong, for the Whispering Closet. Chapter 4. The Forgotten Truth. Catherine drove through the night, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Lily sat in the back seat, wrapped in a blanket, staring out the window in silence. They didn't speak. What was there to say? Catherine had seen the figures. The closet had stretched into something unnatural, something impossible. And the whispers, the voices of children who shouldn't be there. She needed answers. There was only one person who might have them. By morning, Catherine pulled into the driveway of a small, run-down house on the outskirts of town. She had spent the last few hours searching online, making phone calls. And now, she was here. She knocked on the door, her heart pounding. An elderly woman answered, her eyes sharp despite her frail appearance. "You must be Catherine," she said, as if she had been expecting her. "Come in." Catherine hesitated but stepped inside, keeping Lily close. The living room smelled of old books and dust. Framed photographs lined the shelves, most of them black and white. The woman motioned for them to sit. "I'm Margaret Holloway. You said on the phone that you live in that house." Catherine nodded. "Please, I need to know what happened there." Margaret sighed, her expression darkening. "I lived in that house a long time ago, and before me, my parents. The whispers, they've always been there." Catherine shivered. "Who are they?" Margaret's hands trembled as she poured tea into a cup. "Children, but not just any children. They were taken." Catherine's throat tightened. "Taken by what?" Margaret glanced at Lily, then back at Catherine. "Something inside the closet. It calls to them. It whispers until they listen. And when they do," she paused, her voice breaking, "they never come back." Catherine felt sick. 20 years ago, Margaret continued, a family moved in, just like you. They had a son. He heard the whispers too. One night his parents woke up and he was gone. The only thing left was the open closet door. Catherine's stomach twisted, and no one found him. Margaret shook her head. "No trace. The police searched for months, but I knew he had been taken, just like the others before him." Catherine clenched her fists. "How do I stop this? How do I protect my daughter?" Margaret hesitated, then reached for an old wooden box on the table. She opened it carefully, revealing a bundle of yellowed papers. "I tried to fight it once," she whispered. "I failed." She handed Catherine a piece of paper. It was handwritten. The ink faded. "To stop them, you must close the door before they can step through. But once they call your name, it's already too late." Catherine's breath hitched. They had called her name. Margaret met her eyes. "If they've marked you, they won't stop." Lily shifted uncomfortably, gripping Catherine's arm. "Mommy, I don't want to go back." Catherine pulled her close. "We're not going back," she whispered. But Margaret's voice was grim. "You don't understand. If you leave that house without stopping them, they'll follow you." Catherine's heart sank. She had thought she had escaped, but the nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun. That night, Catherine checked into a motel. She left every light on, the television playing softly in the background. Lily curled up beside her, already drifting into sleep. Catherine, however, couldn't relax. Margaret's words echoed in her mind. "They'll follow you." Her phone vibrated on the nightstand. A notification, a new voicemail. Frowning, she picked it up. She hadn't heard the phone ring. She hesitated, then pressed play. At first, there was only static. Then, a whisper. "Catherine." Her blood ran cold. The voice was soft, distant, then another whisper. "Come back." Catherine's hands shook as she dropped the phone. She turned to check on Lily, but the moment her eyes landed on her daughter, her breath caught. Lily was still asleep, but her lips were moving, whispering. Catherine leaned in, her heart pounding. She barely caught the words. "They're here." The room suddenly felt colder. Catherine sat frozen, too afraid to move. Then, the closet door in the motel room creaked open. Darkness stretched beyond it, and something inside whispered, "You can't run forever." Catherine's breath came in short, shallow gasps. The closet door in the motel room stood slightly open, just a sliver of darkness visible beyond it. The whispers had followed them. She grabbed Lily and held her close, shaking her awake. "Lily, sweetheart, wake up." Lily stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Mommy." Catherine tried to keep her voice steady. "We have to go." But as she turned toward the motel room door, a shadow moved inside the closet. Her blood turned to ice. The darkness inside wasn't empty. Something was in there, and it was watching. Lily whimpered, "Mommy, they don't want us to leave." Catherine's grip tightened around her daughter. She had to end this. She couldn't keep running. She had to go back. She had to face the closet. Catherine drove through the empty streets, her hands gripping the wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. The house loomed in the distance, waiting. The moment she parked, she turned to Lily. "Stay in the car, lock the doors." Lily's eyes widened. "But Mommy." Catherine cupped her face gently. "I'll be back soon, I promise." She didn't know if it was a promise she could keep, but she had no choice. Stepping out of the car, she made her way toward the front door. The house was silent, too silent. The air was thick, heavy. She could feel it, the presence lingering inside, waiting for her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. The floorboards creaked under her weight. The whispers started immediately, soft, calling her name. She ignored them. She marched straight to Lily's room, to the closet door that had haunted them. It was wide open, but what lay beyond was no longer just a simple space for clothes. The closet had changed. The darkness inside stretched deep, too deep. It was no longer just a closet. It was an opening, doorway to something else. Catherine's hands trembled. She took a step closer. A cold breeze drifted from inside, carrying the scent of damp earth. And then, a child stepped forward. A boy, his eyes hollow, his skin pale. She recognized him, the missing child from the newspaper. He stared at her, unmoving. Then, his lips parted. "Help us." Catherine's breath hitched. Behind him, more figures appeared. Children, their small hands reaching out, their voices overlapping. "Help us." Catherine felt tears sting her eyes. They weren't trying to hurt Lily. They were trapped, taken by whatever lived beyond the closet, and they wanted to be free. Catherine clenched her fists. She had to do something, but before she could move, the temperature dropped. The shadows inside the closet shifted. Something else was coming. Something older. Something hungry. The whispers changed. No longer pleading. Commanding. Stay. Catherine felt an invisible force pulling at her. The darkness in the closet churned, stretching forward. A shadowy figure loomed inside. Tall. Faceless. Its limbs unnaturally long. It was the thing that had taken the children. The thing that whispered. And it wanted more. Catherine's mind screamed at her to run, but she held her ground. She thought of Lily. She thought of these children trapped for years. She thought of the old note she had found. Don't open it at night. The door had to be closed forever. Summoning every ounce of strength, she lunged forward and grabbed the edge of the door. The shadow lashed out. Cold fingers brushed her skin. Whispers filled her ears. Stay, stay, stay. She gritted her teeth and pulled. The door resisted, as if something inside was holding it open. The children's voices grew frantic. Close it! Catherine let out a scream and shoved the door with all her strength. The moment it slammed shut, the house shook. The whispers turned to wails. The walls trembled. Then, silence. Catherine collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. The air felt lighter. The heavy presence was gone. Slowly, she reached out and touched the closet door. It was cold. Still. Normal. She had done it. It was over. Catherine left the house that night and never looked back. She and Lily moved far away to a small town where the air felt warm and safe. They never spoke of the closet again, but sometimes, on quiet nights, Catherine swore she could still hear the faintest whisper, calling her name.